Hello Cancer, welcome back to my channel. I am Mariana and I will do the vibes inside for you today. I sat down and wanted to do your reading yesterday, but there was this incoming Sagittarius feeling, temperance feeling that I chose to do instead. So I have the word forget, and I was meditating on it because I wanted to get a little bit more like forget it. Did you forget something? Were you forgotten? As I just mentioned, I did this incoming Sagittarius thing yesterday, but I actually wanted to do you. It was not that you were forgotten or I have forgotten you, but I chose to do that instead of your reading. So something came in and had like a more massive, you could say, influence yesterday on me. And I don't know if that is significant, like, that something can always come in and override you, Cancer, that something can always or has always been able to come in and override you, or override your peace perhaps, or your, that life or trouble or something that is more persistent than you perhaps can always come in and like shove you aside, maybe. I don't know. It was quite persistent yesterday. It felt like it really needed some kind of attention, or it wanted to be heard somehow. But the message of that reading was actually an immature Sagittarius. An immature, you could say, not a very patient or not a very... it felt more like an impatient Aries energy, actually, right? That wanted to be heard and where that Sagittarius energy or that fire energy may have needed to, learn something about tolerance, or that sometimes you can have your will instantly, that sometimes you have to allow for things to develop or grow or something. But I don't know if I'm speaking to a Cancer where there is, or could have been, this feeling of being, I don't know, forgotten, or like just forget about it, Cancer, right? Just forget about it. It didn't really want to come through, so I also have maybe a little bit of a secret or something forgotten perhaps, or hidden. I also smudged really smudged the area a lot before I actually sat down and tuned in on your energy. I really feel like there's, I don't know, like maybe you need to clean your room or clean your house or tidy up, or because I wanted to have a little bit more about just this word forget. It was, that was what I got, forget. Not forget it, forgotten. Were you forgotten? What was forgotten? What did you forget? I didn't have that. Only forget. Maybe there's something you really need to forget about, like let it go, or maybe it's literally the word forget. Like, as I said in the beginning, maybe something is here for you to get something. Forget. Or that something comes before you in getting something. You know, like as I said with the Sagittarius feeling yesterday, it was so persistent that it kind of it did override my intent of doing your reading. So something came in before to get something, to get attention, like this, something like that. And it took my attention away from you, Cancer, right? You know, like, let's say that you, Cancer, you have siblings, and you have a sibling that, you know, maybe they are Sagittarius, or maybe they an immature Sagittarius energy, right? Or someone who has, you know, a more extroverted way of expressing themselves, more loud. And because they have that, sometimes parents tend to look at them first, right? And if you were a more, you know, like calmer, or a more sensitive sibling, you could be forgotten a little bit because they kind of took the space, you know, something like, or this can be a colleague, right? It could be anything or something dramatic. When that comes in, it takes the part of you away that is mostly Cancer, right? So the more calm, the more maybe more dreamy part of you, the more romantic, maybe watery part of you, it takes that away, it overrides it, maybe instantly, that if something else happens that needs some kind of attention, maybe instant attention, right? Or it demands instant attention, then your Cancery way is being, you know, like forgotten or shoved aside or something. Maybe this is an ability you have. Maybe the word I'm looking for is don't forget, right? Don't forget about your Cancer abilities, right? Don't forget that. But I only got the word forget. So I'm still kind of trying to tune in on that. The garden and the gate showed itself here. I want to put it up here. Maybe there's something you need to forget. Like something you learned as a child. You know that, then maybe you need to forget that or unlearn it. I have another flyer here. The thinking man reversed. Let me just tune in on that a little bit. The garden and the gate. This to me talks about limitations. It's something about looking outside the garden and maybe being a bit jealous or a little curious what's outside of this garden, because I can only be in here. It may be a very beautiful garden, right? But you know, like, this is what I see with young children in kindergarten. Eventually, when they have been there long enough, they know every edge of this garden. Like they know all about the swings and the bikes and all the trees. They have climbed everything. They have looked in every little corner. They have found any kind of butterfly or insect in that garden. Eventually, you would say you can't learn more from this garden. That's when the kindergarten children, they get to school, right? They're ready for something new. It tells me a little bit that the girl here is ready for something else. She's looking outside of that garden, pondering about what's maybe behind the hill here, right? What could be found there? Um, but the door is closed here. The gate is closed, and it's like maybe you know, you were wondering if you could go outside the garden and explore a little bit. The thinking man, I'm kind of tuning in on that. It feels, it's like I'm trying to connect with something that feels really far away. Like it's either it's forgotten, something in you, Cancer, right? That's really forgotten or hidden, or um, maybe it's a memory. Well, first of all, the thinking man, well, to me, he's a kind of like a philosopher. It's air element. He thinks about a lot of stuff. Maybe overthinks something sometimes, right? The thinking man is someone who is like maybe rational, analyzes, maybe wanting to make the best decision with what he knows. Like, this is the knowledge he has, right? Oh, yeah, that's it. But reversed here, it's a little bit like if you want to go out in the world here, if you're longing to get out, perhaps, like, I want to get out and know more about the world. But if you haven't been taught much, it's reversed here. If you haven't been taught much, or you have a limitation in the way you think or in the way your mind works, let's say you have a disability, like the knowledge he is holding here is the one he is consulting with every time he wants to make a good decision about life, right? We also see a young man here. This is not a child. A child, we would say, is still on a learning curve to become an adult, a full functioning, active adult who can function in society and knows how to navigate, like navigate the realm of society somehow. When we have this and this, I feel like it feels a little bit like a limited worldview. I don't know if I'm speaking to a young person here. but someone who's looking out there but does not feel adequate or capable enough to go out there. It's like the knowledge of handling the world is maybe limited. Now I get the feeling, like some of the children that have a diagnosis of, let's say, autism or ADHD or something, that you have a very, very sensitive, and there could be a feeling of, how can I take care of myself out there? It's like I have a limited, or not a the knowledge bank, like the wisdom that I should have had, or I should have received here, is limited somehow. Or when I stand here, I feel okay, but if I should go out here, I feel a limited knowledge of how to do that. Maybe this is not about you or a child, or some. Maybe you are looking at someone, Cancer, who has this, like where you see them as there could be an issue here, right? Maybe they are naive, like they don't know much about the world, or tricksters or fraud, things you could be tempted to go into. As a young person who must enter the world, there are many things that could tempt you and ruin you economically and otherwise, maybe mentally, emotionally, Cancer, right? That and because we have limited wisdom here, well, you stand in the world without knowing much. Then maybe this is a memory, like maybe you felt like this when you were young, that when I should go out there, I actually felt maybe a feeling of not being prepared, like not feeling fully prepared. And you see, I have been shuffling for 3, and now it's like there's something here I didn't shuffle. I didn't start shuffling. I just realized that. It could be that this particular card will show us something about why you were not prepared. That you had this perhaps, but you lacked this. You didn't have this. Or this is what you forgot, or what was forgotten, or what you did forget. What was forgotten not to tell you about, or you were asked to forget it. You chose to forget it, because if you should go out in the world here, you couldn't take that memory with you, right? So we'll see what comes up for that. But I just find it interesting. Normally I shuffle for all 4 here, but I actually started going much more into these cards without taking the 4th card. So the 4th card could also talk about an element. If we say cups, wands, pentacles, and air, for instance, right? Maybe we need air here, or that there's something you have forgotten about, something you forgot about at some point, and because you did that, you now have a difficulty in stepping fully into your into the world. There could be a fear here of going there, because you somehow feel unprepared, or disabled, or when I say disable, it's the same like a dis-ease, right? That the ease about something is dysfunctional, or the ableness of doing something is also dysfunctional. Like there is a dis-ease or a disabling feeling about going out in the world on my own. Like, let's say this, when this, I don't know if, like, I get a feeling of, like, when I look at her, like, she's young here, right? So like someone who should, as I said, going from kindergarten to school, right? Suddenly that feels like a very big thing, like feeling unprepared for that, not feeling able to do that. Or we could say the school of life, right? That when you should leave your parents' home, maybe there was a feeling of like not feeling quite prepared for it. And here it could be that it's not about it's not necessarily about how you think, but this could be emotionally or socially, right? That you, maybe you are not that social. Like maybe you feel you are not quite prepared to maybe be social again. I don't know, I say again, but that could be after a period of maybe isolation or illness or something. Um, it's like she's looking out here. Maybe she's looking forward to it, but at the same time being a bit frightened. Maybe it's, I get something, this word forget, maybe it's like, have I forgotten how to be social, or have I forgotten how to, like, it could be that you were told at some point, just forget about it. You are not going out there. You are not going to stand alone outside of the gate, right? Just forget about it. It's not going to happen, or you're not ready, or it could be that you're longing to get out there, right? But someone else is telling you you are not ready, right? You cannot stand on your own 2 feet. I don't think you're ready to do that. You don't have what it takes. You don't have the knowledge um, to take care of yourself. I had a little bit of that. Was it Taurus reading? The Taurus reading talked about that the Taurus step of evolution was kind of bypassed, like, and the Taurus step talks about the second house of the zodiac, talks about self-worth, like the knowingness that I'm able to deal with stuff. We have a money consciousness in the second house. Self-worth, we have, it's tangible, earthy, tangible. So it has to do with, you would say, just the feeling and knowledge that I am able to do something. The Taurus step, you could say, is important because this is where a person, a child, learns to walk, right? It learns how to climb a tree, it learns how to bike, it learns how to run. And if you don't have these skills, and you haven't felt the success of it, you haven't felt that you mastered this, you probably will feel a sense of insecurity about that, of standing on your own 2 feet, running over the hill here, right? If you have been kept, like in a little tiny box, and you didn't roll over, you didn't have all these like gymnastic exercises, you didn't exercise your body, you didn't run, you didn't make all kinds of it's anything. You didn't solve the puzzle. You were never given a puzzle, right? To solve. That's what I feel like is here with the thinking man. It's like an understimulated child. They were not given the opportunity to learn. It's like, I don't know if this one is someone who has been living quite restricted somehow. They weren't given so very stimulating toys and tools. Like, that's what I feel like. And whatever school you were given, or kindergarten here, it's an understimulation. It's like either you are really clever and you were not allowed to develop that, right? You were not given the right stimulating toys or tasks, or, as I said, maybe you were not even shown much about the world. It's like being kept in a bubble somehow, protected or something. And now I still have the feeling of illness, like a child. And I had that a little bit also. Was it in the Taurus reading? I said something about like a child that looked out on the courtyard where the other children were playing, but they couldn't participate in it because they were somehow limited, maybe by a heavy illness, something like maybe asthma, or severe lung disease, or other kinds of, maybe a disability somehow that prevented the child from, or the person from, interacting with life, right? Because now you suddenly are in this situation, and because of that you cannot run into the courtyard and play with the other children, right? There is something, it's dangerous if you do that, right? It would be dangerous for you to go out there. Maybe you have that feeling of like something is dangerous. That it could be dangerous. And you were not given, you were not told anything different. And it could prevent you from going out there, actually, right? It could prevent you from opening the gate here. So there could be a feeling of procrastination, or like looking out there and being interested in it, but not doing it. Because it's the feeling that I can't do it. Like, I don't have the skills to do this. Either because you were literally not shown, and you were also not guided. So when you give a little child a puzzle, you have to tell them what this is about, right? How to put the pieces together, and eventually it's going to show a picture, right? If you just give the child a puzzle, all the pieces are out there, they don't know what to do about it. There has to be a guide, a parent or someone who is helping the child to understand what this is, to recognize the pattern, and to solve the mystery, you could say. It feels a little bit like someone was maybe understimulated, not. Again, I feel this maybe forgotten, like because something else demanded more attention, and then you kind of were left a little bit on the side here. You were forgotten a little bit about, I think. And maybe in that way you have also forgotten, right? You have forgotten that maybe a curiosity about life, right? Maybe you have forgotten that you do have skills, that you do actually have ways of solving stuff or doing stuff. It all comes down to confidence. But again, if you were never given guidance or not given very much guidance, there could be this feeling that you don't know much about the world. You don't know how to get out there and do stuff and kind of take matters into your own hand and say, damn it, I'm going to do this, right? Okay, let's have some cards out here. Wow, these are extremely like a divine cards here. I want to say it's so interesting. When I'm going to turn the cards here, you can see them. I don't need to like look at them much actually. And I did say that this card would be maybe something that solves something here, right? Or that tells us something. This card here, it says the curse. Look at this, how these cards are. You have divine, this is divine guidance, crown chakra. I really feel like you do have divine guidance here. Or this could be what this is about, right? It says here, door to spirit. Look at how like spiritual and amazing this is, right? We have full spectrum. This is like a full healed chakra system that is totally connected with the world. And then we have the curse here. You see, if you feel disconnected somehow, Cancer, from the world or from, I do actually feel I'm talking to a Cancer who has almost forgotten their Cancer abilities, because this is Cancer abilities, these here. But because of this, it may have been forgotten, right? It's the divine guidance that Cancer, the intuition that usually is very strong with Cancer. The door to spirit here, right? The full spectrum, the groundedness and the ability to be a psychic and connected with the world, connected with everything, could be somehow prevented due to something here. When I look at this card, it's like we only see a little bit of the face here, and it's almost like something is trying to cover it up, right? It's like there's a limited ability to see through and have this connection here. You were born with this, but because of this, you are now experiencing life in a totally different way. It's like, as I said, it's like there is something you are not. And he actually looks at a crystal here. Looks how sparkly this is. How beautiful and sparkling and wonderful it is. But it feels a little bit like you are limited in that. Like the door to spirit here, right? The ability to connect with the spiritual realm, the divine guidance that you should have had, that should like reinforce your intuition and everything. It says here, the search for meaning in life. Consider an alternative approach. Surround yourself with wise teachers and friends. Archangel Sandalphon here. Sandalphon is Earth angel. He would, you would say, be here, where we have Metatron up here, right? This would be Sandalphon here. So there is something about the earthy element, maybe your roots, right? The roots of your existence. The ability to tune in here. Because I did lay them out first, right? And this card was missing. I didn't take that card until I realized, okay, something is... I actually only took 3 cards. If I decided not to take this card out, look at how beautiful they are. And this card is right under the full spectrum. So this idea of the ability to heal yourself from something, right? Or to have a full spectrum life, the ability to step out of the gate and maybe, well, if you have certain karma, the ability to work with that karma, complete it or release it, the ability to do that could have been a bit hindered here, Cancer, right? Or a lot hindered, perhaps. It's like, I get the feeling of, as I said, under stimulation, not guided, not given. Actually, it feels a little bit like was this deliberate? You know, like you can keep a child ignorant, right? Deliberately, you can keep a child like ignorant. You can choose not to tell them, right? So you would keep them ignorant or naive, or, you know, like if someone here is a thinking man and they do have a lot of wisdom, they need to share it, right, with their child. That would then you enter into the mentor role. You choose to use your knowledge and to share it and to guide. But if someone didn't do that, it would keep you, you know, like limited. You would have a limited ability to see how to live a full life, I want to say, right? Especially if you were told something was dangerous here. It could be the feeling that that this represents the disconnect that you feel to divine guidance and the door to spirit, that you feel a disconnect here, right? That something is limiting you in having the, like, that this should be turned around, right? So this could talk about your ability to connect with the divine. This is a clear quartz crystal here, which is also, you would say, connects with spirituality and the angelic realm, you know. It could be the feeling that you are somehow limited, or you feel a bit limited in your intuition. In the door to spirit here. Again, she's she knows the garden, right? And now she wants to go outside the garden, connecting with something else here, exploring something else. But it's like the ability to do that, it feels like there's something prohibiting it here. At the bottom of the deck for this card, I get the eagle. I want to take this as well because the eagle is, one of the air elements that are very strong here. The eagle would be probably one of the top uh, air birds or creatures, right? They fly high, they are strong, they are big. And this could be you, right? That you have the ability to be the eagle here. But it, as I said, it's like there is so much guidance that actually it's almost queuing up, right? That wants to come through, I feel like. But something is definitely, this is a driver card, the underlying energy, I call them drivers. It's because this is you, but it's hidden, right? It's blocked by something here. The reason why you are experiencing some kind of void or disconnect, or maybe you have felt that most of your life, is because you're supposed to understand what it is that is limiting you from having that guidance. So either whether this is something you feel right now, that normally you have this, but at the moment you feel like you don't. But I still get the feeling that this is something older, like it's almost like, because I had this word forget, right? It's almost like you were asked to forget about this. Maybe you chose to forget about it. Like having a lot of doors open here to the spiritual realm can be a bit overwhelming for a child. If you have no guidance, if nobody tells you about it, how to use it, like how to manage it, right? It can be a bit overwhelming here. This can talk about all kinds of psychic gifts. So let's say you see the deceased loved ones in your room, right? As a child, maybe that's a little bit, and if nobody believes you, and nobody guides you, or nobody understands, maybe you chose to forget. You chose as a child to block it, right? I don't know how children do that, but they can do it actually. Now, yeah, I get more and more the feeling of, because the thinking man here would be also someone who may not want to look at the crystal, right? Like who is blocking the crystal here, the knowledge from the crystal. So either someone did it for you, as I said, kept you ignorant, didn't give you information, didn't allow for you to be very intuitive or psychic, right? They didn't allow for it. Maybe it was, shamed or something. It was suggested it was a curse. Maybe you decided it was a curse, and you wanted it to be gone. I want to forget it. Like I want to forget about what you may have seen. That could also, again, there could be clairvoyance here and everything, right? Maybe you wanted to forget what you have seen. Or you wanted to forget to see, right? These eyes here are kind of emphasized for me, right? Maybe the clairvoyance, the ability to see, you chose to ignore it. Or someone told you that what you were seeing was not true, right? There are no monsters under your bed. You see, we turn the light on. Now you see there's no one. When parents do that to a child that may have like really strong abilities here, you're telling the child that what they are experiencing is not real. But it could have been real for you. Maybe you did see something here, right? Maybe you did see something. But because nobody believed you, they asked you to not talk about it, not think about it, to forget it, right? I feel like I wanna look a little bit at the ego, because the ego is the driver here. It's like it maybe it wants to come forward. The driver. Usually the driver is something in us that wants to help us heal. Ego comes from the east, the place of the rising sun, a new beginning. She soars high in the sky, sees the smallest detail with clarity without losing track of the bigger picture, and nests in the high mountains. For Ego, there are no obstacles, only opportunities. She calls you to ascend, to acquire perspective, so you can fly wing to wing with great spirit. Have you become trapped in your daily routine and feel you do not know where to go and what to do next? Have you lost your sense of purpose? Eagle invites you to take a deep breath and spread your wings. When was the last time you opened them? Eagle reminds you that your spirit was born to soar to the heavens. As you contemplate choices, ask yourself, do I want to live in a chicken coop, sheltered from life, counting the regular feedings, or do I want to soar like an eagle? If your answer is the latter, then you must accept eagle's invitation and embrace the courage that will help you choose freedom. This is exactly what I talk about, right? Do you want to live in a chicken coop, sheltered from life, counting the regular feedings as the most exciting thing in your day, right? Or do you want to soar like the eagle, have this freedom? This is also limited, like a limitation. You can only exist within these gates here. Maybe you're longing for a freedom, but there is something preventing you from maybe taking that, or you literally have to face why you stay there, perhaps, Cancer, right? If your answer is the latter, that you do want to soar like an eagle, free, high up in the sky, right? Connected with the divine realm and all the guidance you do have, right? You must accept the eagle's invitation here. The eagle is here to help you see what is preventing you from not doing it. Embrace the courage. That's what I feel like. It's like the feeling of not having what it takes to go out there somehow. It's time to see through the eyes of ego Let your vision of the whole and its parts become laser-like, and set your priorities straight. What did you come to do in this life? Did you come to climb up the ladder of financial or social success? Did you come to become a better person? To heal your heart, or to realize your essential self? What is your divine mission here on earth? No more excuses. Of course, you do not have enough time, enough money, or enough sleep. Yet the time is now to fly to your chosen purpose. If you postpone it, you are betraying yourself. Look through the eyes of ego and consider every obstacle an opportunity. Where you set your intention is where you will end up. Free yourself and live your highest destiny. Fly. That's what the ego is asking, right? There's so much here that actually I do feel like it's almost queuing up. Like there's so much that you could that and I feel like the guidance is definitely to go in a spiritual direction, right? It's guiding you to embrace all these kind of abilities. The full spectrum would, for me, would talk about like a full healing, a full chakra healing, a total homecoming, you could say. So a healing of your heart, a healing of your body, full spectrum is a complete connectedness with all what there is, as above, so below, and all in between, opening all your senses, having that. This says in the book, creating heaven on earth by honoring the perfection of nature's cycles, going beyond the judgment of good and bad, the merging of duality, raw nature, earth wisdom, connecting to ancestors, shadows as the fertile soil for exponential growth. The way forward is in the whispering of the land, honoring the full spectrum of life. There's definitely something about higher learning, trusting your higher self, divine knowledge, stepping into I want to say divine teachings, almost like you could have the Tao, like all the yin and yang, the Eastern teachings of yin and yang and Tao. Of course, you have meditation here. You have like a but again, I have this feeling, I had that in some of the readings as well. Is this really what I want? Like, if I do open my gate, this has been maybe the ordinary life you have been living. If I open this gate and I turn my eyes in towards this realm here, the divine realm perhaps, what is my life going to be like then? Who am I becoming if I do that? What kind of choices will be here for me to make? And maybe you're not sure you want to do it, or you're not sure you can do it, that you have what it takes. Again, I get this feeling of understimulation. It's like, I think you would like a guide, like that, or a mentor or something. Someone who could, I don't know, not necessarily hold your hand, but like help you a little bit, right? Maybe you're not sure you want to go there. But it actually feels a little bit more like I'm not sure I can do this. Like I have what it takes. Like that is what this is about, right? Something feels a little bit like it's preventing. What is preventing? What is it that is preventing cancer from accepting this. I feel a little bit like a life purpose or something. We could have Bible teachings here. Anything that is, that has to do with divinity, spirituality, yeah, all kinds of maybe like understandings of religion, um, anything that has to do with the. I've talked a lot about that on my channel. This idea of good and bad, which I actually, from a mind perspective, believe that it doesn't exist. It just is. The only reason why we say as humans that it is either good or bad is whether it's a threat to us or not. A threat to our earthly existence, our body, our survival. If we were pure consciousness and we didn't have a body, it wouldn't really matter whether there were war or not, or hunger, or people were starving, or something. It wouldn't affect us because we were not having a body. Because we do have a body, we are viewing the world through the lens of that body. And everything that threatens us, physically, socially, mentally, psychically, whatever, everything that threatens the body and our survival is considered bad. Illness, anything, predators, all kind. But it just, if you take that idea away, if we are looking at the world through pure consciousness, and we didn't have a body. If we don't have a body, we are higher dimensional beings, we don't have a body. We are looking at the world through a different glass. And because we are humans and we do have a body, we're looking at the world through a different glass. So this idea of good and bad, it comes with the feeling of threat, that something could threaten us. But what if we are not allowing threats to have that influence on us? If we believe in an eternal life, if we believe that our soul is eternal, it cannot die. That part of us cannot die. There's nothing to be afraid of, is there? Only if you live in your ego and your ego existence, and you connect strongly with the body in the sense that this is who I am. You identify with the body image and everything. You're not identifying with your soul. You're identifying with the human life you have here on earth now, the name you have, the current life you live. If you live in that existence and you identify with the image you see in the mirror, that is you, then I would say, yeah, that would be and that could be what this is, that you identify with the current version of you, the body you have, the name you have, the family name you have, the family you were born into. If you identify with that this is who I am, I would say you have a limited view of yourself. You are more than that. But again, it depends on whether you believe in reincarnation, whether you believe in spirituality, the eternal soul, and so on. If you're not believing in that, of course, this would not make sense to you. But the full spectrum here, I just read it. It was about, it says here, going beyond the judgment of good and bad. The merging of duality. How can we merge good and bad? Right? How is that possible? So this is the only way that can happen is if you dive very strongly into all the old teachings of, yeah, as I said, the Tao, Asian, old spiritual teachings. I would say you could look into all kinds of religion. Again, because none of them, I believe, are either good or bad. They just are. That's my personal belief. I don't really I don't want to judge it. When I'm judging, I am in duality. When I say something is good and something is bad, I'm judging it. Therefore, I'm in duality. And if I'm judging it, I cannot merge it, right? So there's something to be learned from that existence here. So what is it? This could be that the curse could talk about like this idea of identifying with the ego, your current life, your name, your family name, your job, your current job, right? That you are drawn totally into the earthly realm, and there is no place for this, that this is not here, that this is forgotten about somehow. So you are limited into a earthly 3D existence. Therefore you cannot be the ego. Therefore you cannot have this. So let's have a look at what this curse is about here for you. 7th chakra. Now I really get that feeling. Now I really get the feeling that you have seen something. And maybe it spooked you as a child. Because I feel like, again, the eyes here, how they are looking, right? It's almost like you've seen something as, like, you look at her. It's like she's hiding, right? She sits inside a bush or something and she sees something. And the curse here, now I get the 7th chakra. The 7th chakra is this. It's divine guidance, crown chakra here, right? The divine guidance, it's almost like, yeah, now I get the feeling of like not wanting to go there. Like not wanting to have this. But at the same time, Cancer, it's you. Like you have this. You have this. And by saying no to it, you are deliberately, you could say, saying no to a big part of yourself. I see this a little bit, like a child who is hiding in a room and in a closet because they are afraid. They are afraid of something they may have seen, right? And I get actually the feeling of, have you seen an angel and forgotten about it? Like the door to spirit here. Maybe it was closed, or you decided to close it or something at some point. And now it's like, it seems a little bit like something in you is really asking you to reconnect with that part of you. But there can be many reasons why we choose to forget. We don't want to see it. We don't want to... As I said, maybe as a child you saw dead people, right? You saw deceased ones. And you talked about them perhaps, right? Maybe you talked about them because that would be normal for you, right? But others did not recognize it. They didn't like it, right? They said you were crazy maybe, or what you were seeing is not real. They didn't want it. They asked you to forget it. or never speak about it again, or something like that, right? Maybe you saw something here that you wanted never to see again, to forget about. But why would you not want to look at an angel? Let's have a look at this one. Seven chakra, Archangel Uriel. Seven chakra is crown chakra on the top of your head. Yeah. Spirit connections, intuition, inspiration. Upright, the beautiful angel Uriel, also called the fire of God, wears a brilliant crystal. A brilliant crystal crown, vibrating with a passionate connection to the divine. She brings great power to your seventh energy center, which is called the crown chakra and is located at the top of your head. This card upright indicates an open and free-flowing channel of information and inspiration from the wonderful beings in the spirit world. This could also be a time of great intuition for you and guidance from your higher awareness, so allow yourself to quiet your mind and listen. Now is a great time to get connected. The assistance from Spirit is great, and whether it's the presence of an ascended master, a powerful angel like Uriel, or just a loving friend or family member in spirit, their love and willingness to assist is always there. They even open you to the Akashic records, the storehouse of all information. This connection is open now, and you will find that your own spirit and the spirits of those around you will be able to provide the answers you seek and the blessings you desire and deserve. But I asked about the curse here, and I got that card. So it tells me that for some reason you may find, or others may have found, that whatever you know here, because the crown chakra, I would call that claircognizant. This is a knowingness. Like, it's just, you just know stuff. You get epiphanies, right? You have all this incoming information, inspiration, or guidance or something. It just flows right in, right? But that may feel like a curse. And maybe you decided at some point you wanted to forget about it. Or you tell yourself, I just forget about it. Just forget it. Just forget about what is coming, because it's not really, I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to go there. I'm just saying, when you do that, you are like really shutting down a tremendous part of yourself. But it may feel like a curse, right? Some people who are empathic and hypersensitive and very intuitive and have all kinds of psychic gifts, they may feel a bit overwhelmed, or a lot overwhelmed. Let's say this was someone who was talking to you as a child, right? And maybe you like them, but others may have told you it was just a fantasy, right? That you shouldn't do that. It's not what we want. You can't speak about stuff like that, right? It's not real. It's just an imagination. It's not real. But what if it was real? Actually was real? Again, it feels a little bit like But if I should embrace this, I am embracing something that feels like now I get something like in old times. Again, the Akashic records, when you open the door to the Akashic records, let's say you have been a witch before. In other lifetimes you were a healer witch, right? But at that time you had to hide it. Otherwise you could have been hanged or drowned. You could have been burned for being a witch, right? So this may feel dangerous. Again, I had that feeling of that, like you're doing something, like if I go out here, I'm doing something dangerous. Again, we have this idea that connecting with the divine realm, that must be a good thing. It must be good. That who you are connecting with here is good. Right? It must be a high frequency. It has to be a high frequency. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just saying that it's, as I just talked about the duality of our world, the way we live here on Earth, the third dimension, the duality is shifting between good and bad, right? And every time, as I say, because we have a human body, we feel it. We feel if something is a threat. And it's the same thing with the psychic abilities. It's not that different than meeting other current living people. You can live people that we say are good, and you can meet people we say are bad, right? For us. But it could be the same thing in the divine realm. Let's say you had encounters where that really frightened you. You got really anxious and frightened about what you saw here. Again, sometimes just seeing something that is very big, because some of these angels here, they can have a very big presence. That in itself could be like a feeling of being a bit overwhelmed, even though they come in with beautiful light and everything. When you have a big, open divine or crown chakra here, you get all kinds of information. Not only the good ones, you get all kinds of intuitive guidance here. And that could be with the people that are around you also. So you don't necessarily only get what they tell you. You also get their feelings, their intentions, their thoughts. Maybe you know you get information about their childhood, their family. That can be quite overwhelming for a child. It's like, and if you have no guidance here, how to shut it down, how to close your crown chakra here, how you can open and close it, you will be constantly bombarded with something. And that could feel like a curse. That could feel like I never have peace, right? I never have peace. There is no silence and no peace here. I'm constant. And that could be why she's hiding a little bit. She doesn't want it, right? Why this is reversed here. But I still get the feeling it's because nobody told you, nobody understood or told you how to manage some of this. So of course you may be a little bit cautious about just going out there in the world. Because every time you do, you get bombarded by something here. It just flows to you. It's all around you. And I actually literally got this card as the curse, right? It could be the feeling that someone here or something is constantly trying to talk to you here. And it may have felt a little bit like, or it may have felt like really intense, and of course it's nice to have inspiration and beautiful guidance, but if it's constantly, you know, like if it's constant, it's also because how do you define what's actually your own thoughts and what comes from something else? We could have a feeling of not knowing exactly who you are in all of this. Because you are bombarded with something else here. So who are you? What is your identity? Like, who are you in this? How do I even present myself if I go out there? What if there is no me, actually? What if there's only this? And I'm just the vessel that it kind of, you know, like channels through? What if there is no me here? What if there's no me? That the me is hidden or small here, right? And all of this is very big. So there's less and less of me as a persona and more of divinity here. And maybe you're wondering whether you, like, do I even want to go out of that gate? Where does it leave me? Like, if I go out there, can I come back? Or do I get absorbed by something out here? Can I get a card on the garden and the gate here? There's something better waiting for you. Do what you know is right for you. A spiritual quest. 8 of Raphael. This would be 8 of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles is, well, in the Rider-Waite Tarot, we see someone sitting and hammering and working. One step at a time, but working and eventually seeing. The 8 suggests that you see a result of your labor, you would say. So if you have been pondering whether you should try something new here, it could be that you are wondering whether you should pursue a spiritual work path here. But this, when as long as you are inside the gate, you are still in your current job, or you're still in your current position. But this would talk about, like, let's say you want to become a priest, or you want to pursue shamanism or something. You want to really go into that. It just says here that there is something better waiting for you. But do what you know is right for you. A spiritual quest, it says here, and everything here is spiritual, right? So I really feel like that there is something to be gained from, like, really following a guidance here. The eagle is also asking you. This is a driver within you. that actually wants you to reconnect with some of this. Trusting, there could be a trust issue also, right? Not trusting that you have what it takes or you can do this. It's also like the gate suggests also that you are kind of safe here. Like that within the gate, I'm kind of safe. When I go out here, I don't know. So maybe you have, this is a pentacle card. There is something here to like maybe monetarily maybe you are wondering if I do make this jump or if I do want to do this, how am I supposed to like financially maybe take care of myself or my family, me and others. If I make this jump, if I take this leap of faith, how is this going to play out? Even though you may feel guided, even though you're not sure you can trust it, perhaps. Like, can I trust my ability to, I don't know, read hands or as a Reiki healer or I don't know, as a shaman or something? Can I trust that? Can I trust that if I do that full time, that I will be taken care of, I'm safe? The card here suggests that yes, there is something better for you there, but I don't know how, the money. If this is a money situation, I don't know about the money. Again, that could be divine timing, and there could be obstacles that are going to ask you to follow that path, even though you may have financial struggle. It has to do with trust, right? This card reversed is maybe distrust, that you're not trusting your own abilities here, that you don't feel that you are like capable enough to pull this off somehow, make it a success for yourself. But again, it's because we have this good and bad thing going on, right? In order for something to be a better, as it says here, a better, something better is waiting for you. If it's better, it's because it's helping us. It's helping the body. It helps us to sustain ourselves. It's maybe more safe, it's maybe more peaceful, maybe it's more reliable. But that it's because it sustains us somehow. That's why we see it as better. And if this is worse, it's because now we are threatened, the existence is threatened. In order for that to go away, in order for not thinking like that, it's like the merging of that is this idea that there is no such thing as good or bad. If you find yourself in financial ruin because you make this jump here, it's because you can still learn something from it. What will you do then? Maybe the financial ruin is going to come anyway. If you're not listening to your ego here, if you're not doing some of this, the financial ruin may come anyway. Or your health is declining or something. You can't keep up the ordinary job anyway. The ruin is coming anyway then. And if it comes, it's because it's again guiding you to go somewhere else here. What would be a good first step then? What would be a good first step to somehow overcome this curse, to face this confidence and so on? What would be a good first step for Cancer in this situation? Page of Raphael, yeah, just make a step here, right? The page is a new emotional situation, messages regarding relationships or social invitations, great intuitive insights. It's just starting. It says here, gentle, loving, dreamy, open-hearted. It's starting, just starting with sitting, allowing yourself. Look at, she sits here by the beach here. Maybe she just sits quietly by herself, listening to the water. You are a water sign, right, Cancer? Just and feeling the wind, right? Feeling the wind and the small sounds of the water here, the smell of the water. Like, use your senses, become the child again that just sits here with your toes in the sand, touching the sand, building a little, what is that here? That's a big one, a big sand castle, but like just sitting here and just gently allowing yourself to flow with and feel and be with your senses and your emotions. This is a good first step to tune into something that is you, actually. It also talks about, I feel like just try it, right? Just try it. And again, the trust may not come like overnight, but it may come slowly but surely when you allow yourself to dream and sit with your toes in the sand and just trust your senses on this, right? Then it kind of may come back to you. The guidance may come back, and step by step you will move forward, right? Step by step you will move forward and trust more and more the guidance you get. Spread your wings, as the eagle said here. Maybe you should go to the beach where there's a lot of room here, a lot of air space, and just imagine that you're spreading your wings and trying to levitate and fly, right? Having the feeling of this free, away from the nitty gritty, perhaps here. The eagle always flies high up, right? They look down on the details. And sometimes it's easier that way because they are not part of the details themselves. They are not down there in the mess, you could say. They look like from above, they are looking at it and pointing down to it, right? This could suggest also something about distance, like maybe you need to distance yourself from something. Maybe distancing yourself a little bit from something, so that you can have a different perspective of it, perhaps. Again, the eagle flies high up, and because he's not down there, and like does the nitty gritty, he can look at it from a more metacognitive perspective and point down and see, oh, this is difficult, or maybe this is maybe also difficult, or this is difficult, right? For me specifically, I see that here, that there is something going on here, some dynamics or something. But that is more easier done when you are actually not in it, right? When you're not in it, it's easier done. Maybe it also suggests that you need a vacation, right? Maybe you need to get yourself out of the nitty-gritty here. Like really distance yourself, or take a holiday or go somewhere and just sit, right? Maybe it's like you can't think here. Like it's like when I'm in this nitty-gritty thing, I can't think. clearly, right? Because it absorbs me. Like I'm drawn into all of this enmeshment maybe or something. And when I'm there, I can't really have a straight, clear thought. But if I take myself a little bit away, I go to the sea, I spread my wings, I take some alone time, I connect with a new side of me here, or again, a forgotten one. The page can be a child here, right? Maybe a childlike thing in you here. When I do that, I can have a new perspective. I see things differently. But when I'm in the nitty-gritty, it's like I can only see it from one perspective. Maybe you need a vacation here. It could also suggest that someone is very detail oriented, right? That they are all into the small details of something. But if you took yourself up as the ego, you would see much more than that, right? You would see that the world doesn't like concern itself around these small details, that there's much more to the everyday life, or again, this feeling of someone having limited worldviews, limited, fearful, limited worldviews, or knowledge of the world, that they concentrate on, like only few things in their existence. But actually, there's so much more that is also there to be considered or to be taken care of, or like if a young person is moving out of the family home where the mother or the father have been caretakers and they have paid the bills, if something didn't work, they fixed it, or they phoned someone to come and fix it, like, and now suddenly you are the one out there. You are the one who must fix if the heat is not working, or you are now buying the groceries, not mom, right? You're the one who is vacuum cleaning, or taking care of the laundry and so on. But maybe someone did that when you lived at home, right? Maybe your mom did that. She cooked dinner, right? Now you are the one doing this. So there's this feeling of having like this limited worldview where you are just primarily in your room doing your teenage stuff, right? Occupied with music and, I don't know, your friends and Snapchat and whatever. And now suddenly you stand without someone to do all this other stuff. You are now the one also needing to look at that and not feeling prepared for it in some sense, right? And if we take that into a higher perspective, a more divine perspective, it is that from living a more earthly, limited realm, that if you actually do manage to open this up, you will suddenly have like cosmic knowledge, right? Like universal knowledge. And that could be a bit the feeling of being overwhelming. And that would definitely change your view on things, right? It would change your view on how the world works, how the universe works, who you are. That you are more than your egotistical existence. You're more than your current name, and so on. something like that. So put it into perspective, what makes sense in your life or your current situation, but this is what I have. I hope this helped somehow, Cancer. Take very good care of yourself. Love and light to you. Bye bye.